What if I told you that you could develop a mental attitude so strong, so unbreakable, that no external circumstance could ever truly disturb your inner peace? What if the secret to this extraordinary mental resilience was discovered over 2,000 years ago by some of history's most powerful and wise individuals? Welcome back to Daily Stoic Insights, where we dive deep into the timeless wisdom of Stoicism to transform your modern life. I'm your host, and today we're exploring one of the most crucial topics for anyone seeking lasting happiness and success: how to develop an unbreakable positive mental attitude using the proven principles of Stoic philosophy. Before we begin this transformative journey together, I want you to do something right now. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because the content we share on this channel has the power to completely revolutionize your mindset and consequently, your entire life. And here's why this matters. Every person who subscribes helps us reach more individuals who desperately need these life-changing insights. Your subscription literally helps us change more lives. Also, make sure to check the first comment pinned below and the description for exclusive resources that will accelerate your Stoic journey. These aren't just random links. They're carefully curated tools that complement everything we discussed today. Now, let me ask you something personal. How many times have you felt overwhelmed by circumstances beyond your control? How often have negative thoughts spiraled out of control, leaving you feeling powerless and defeated? If you're human, the answer is probably more times than I'd like to admit. But here's the remarkable truth. The ancient Stoics faced the same challenges we face today: loss, betrayal, failure, uncertainty, and suffering. Yet they developed a mental framework so robust that it enabled them to maintain inner tranquility even in the face of exile, imprisonment, and death. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, wrote his personal reflections while leading military campaigns on hostile frontiers. Epictetus, born a slave, developed teachings so profound they influenced emperors. Seneca, who experienced both incredible wealth and devastating loss, discovered principles that made him virtually unshakable. Today, you're going to learn their secrets. Let's start by destroying a dangerous myth that's probably holding you back right now. When most people hear positive mental attitude, they think of forced optimism, toxic positivity, or simply pretending everything is fine when it's clearly not. This is not what the Stoics taught, and it's not what we're discussing today. True Stoic positive thinking is radically different. It's not about denying reality or painting everything with a rosy brush. Instead, it's about developing what Epictetus called the discipline of desire, the ability to align your mental state with wisdom rather than wishful thinking. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Notice he didn't say, "Think positive thoughts, and everything will be wonderful." He said you have power over your mind, regardless of what's happening around you. This is the foundation of unbreakable mental attitude. The recognition that while you cannot control external events, you have absolute sovereignty over your internal responses to those events. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you lose your job unexpectedly. The typical positive thinking approach might tell you to just think positive or everything happens for a reason. The Stoic approach is different. A Stoic would acknowledge the reality of the situation without adding unnecessary emotional suffering to it. They would ask, what aspects of this situation are within my control and what aspects are not? They would focus their mental energy exclusively on what they can influence: their response, their next actions, their attitude toward the challenge. Seneca, who lost his fortune multiple times, understood this principle deeply. He wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." He didn't pretend that loss wasn't painful, but he refused to let that pain define his mental state or determine his future actions. This is what I call reality-based optimism, the ability to see situations clearly, accept what cannot be changed, and maintain confidence in your ability to respond wisely to whatever life presents. The Stoics understood that true mental strength comes not from avoiding difficulties, but from developing the skills to navigate them with grace and wisdom. They knew that an unbreakable positive mental attitude isn't about feeling good all the time. It's about maintaining your inner equilibrium regardless of external circumstances. This fundamental shift in understanding changes everything. Instead of trying to control the uncontrollable, you focus on mastering the controllable. Instead of demanding that life be easy, you develop the strength to handle whatever comes your way. Now we come to the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy and the foundation of unbreakable mental attitude, the dichotomy of control. This single concept, when truly understood and applied, has the power to eliminate most of your mental suffering and anxiety. Epictetus taught his students, "Some things are within our power, while others are not." This might sound simple, but the implications are profound and life-changing. Let's break this down systematically. What is truly within your control? Your thoughts, your judgments, your values, your responses, your actions, and your character. That's it. Everything else, other people's behavior, natural disasters, economic conditions, your past, other people's opinions of you, and even your own body's health, falls outside your direct control. Most people spend the majority of their mental energy worrying about things in the second category. They stress about what others think. They ruminate over past mistakes. They anxiety about future uncertainties. This is like trying to control the weather while neglecting to dress appropriately for the conditions. Marcus Aurelius practiced this principle daily. As emperor, he faced plagues, wars, betrayals, and family tragedies. Yet his personal writings reveal a man who maintained remarkable mental equilibrium by consistently focusing on what he could control: his responses, his decisions, and his character. Here's a practical exercise that will revolutionize your mental attitude. For the next week, every time you feel stressed or anxious, stop and ask yourself, is this something I can control or something I cannot control? If it's something you can control, take action. If it's something you cannot control, practice letting go. But here's where most people get stuck. Letting go doesn't mean not caring. It means caring about the right things in the right way. You can care deeply about your relationships while accepting that you cannot control how others behave. You can care about your health while accepting that some aspects of aging and illness are beyond your control. Seneca illustrated this beautifully when he wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of our mental anguish comes from trying to control things that are fundamentally outside our influence. Consider this scenario. You're stuck in traffic and late for an important meeting. The typical response is frustration, anger, and stress. But applying the dichotomy of control, you recognize that the traffic is outside your control. What is within your control? Your response to the situation, your breathing, your decision to call ahead, your choice to use the time productively. This shift in focus from the uncontrollable to the controllable is like switching from a leaky boat to a seaworthy vessel. Suddenly, you're no longer at the mercy of every wave and storm. You have a reliable craft that can navigate any waters. The dichotomy of control doesn't just reduce stress, it increases your effectiveness. When you stop wasting energy on the uncontrollable, you have more resources to invest in what you can actually influence. This creates a positive feedback loop: better results, increased confidence, stronger mental attitude. One of the most powerful aspects of Stoic philosophy is its revolutionary approach to adversity. While most people see obstacles as problems to be avoided, the Stoics saw them as opportunities for growth and character development. Marcus Aurelius wrote one of the most transformative sentences in all of philosophy: "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't just beautiful poetry. It's a practical formula for turning any challenge into an advantage. Let me share a story that illustrates this principle perfectly. Epictetus was born a slave, suffered a permanent leg injury, and faced circumstances that would crush most people's spirits. Yet he became one of history's most influential philosophers. How? He used his limitations as stepping stones to wisdom. He couldn't control his physical circumstances, but he could control his response to them. His physical limitations forced him to develop inner strength. His lack of external freedom led him to discover the unlimited freedom of the mind. His suffering became the foundation of teachings that have helped millions of people for over 2,000 years. This is what I call obstacle alchemy, the ability to transform any challenge into character gold. But how do you practically apply this in your daily life? Here's the Stoic framework. First, when faced with any obstacle, ask yourself, what can this teach me? Every challenge contains lessons about resilience, creativity, patience, or courage. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, how can this make me stronger? Second, look for the hidden opportunities within the obstacle. Lost your job? Maybe it's an opportunity to pursue that career change you've been considering. Relationship ended? Perhaps it's a chance to develop a stronger relationship with yourself. Health challenge? Could be the motivation you needed to prioritize your well-being. Third, remember that obstacles are training equipment for your character. Just as physical resistance builds muscle, mental and emotional resistance builds character. Every time you face a challenge and respond with wisdom rather than reactivity, you're strengthening your mental attitude. Seneca, who faced exile, loss of fortune, and eventually execution, wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." He understood that what appears to be an ending is often actually a beginning in disguise. Consider the story of James Stockdale, a Navy pilot who was shot down and spent 7 years as a prisoner of war in Vietnam. He later said that his study of Stoic philosophy, particularly Epictetus, was what enabled him to survive and even thrive in those horrific conditions. He used his imprisonment as an opportunity to practice and deepen his philosophical understanding. The key insight here is that your mental attitude isn't determined by what happens to you. It's determined by how you interpret and respond to what happens to you. Two people can face identical circumstances and have completely different experiences based solely on their mental framework. This doesn't mean you should seek out suffering or pretend that difficulties aren't real. It means developing the skill to find value and opportunity within whatever circumstances you face. When you master this reframing ability, you become virtually unshakable. No external circumstance can defeat you because you've learned to extract strength and wisdom from every experience, positive or negative. Now I want to introduce you to one of the most counterintuitive yet powerful Stoic practices, negative visualization, or as the Stoics called it, premeditatio malorum. This practice might seem to contradict everything you've heard about positive thinking, but it's actually one of the most effective tools for developing unbreakable mental resilience. Negative visualization involves deliberately imagining the loss of things you value, your health, your relationships, your possessions, even your life. Before you dismiss this as morbid or depressing, let me explain why this practice is so transformative. Seneca wrote, "What is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster." By mentally rehearsing potential challenges, you remove the element of surprise and develop emotional resilience before you need it. Think of negative visualization as a mental fire drill. You don't practice fire drills because you want your building to burn down. You practice them so you'll respond calmly and effectively if a fire ever occurs. Similarly, negative visualization prepares your mind to handle adversity with grace and wisdom. But there's an even more profound benefit. Negative visualization dramatically increases your appreciation for what you currently have. When you imagine losing your health, you become more grateful for your current well-being. When you imagine losing loved ones, you appreciate them more deeply while they're still with you. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. He would remind himself that everything he valued was temporary and could be lost at any moment. Rather than making him depressed, this practice made him more present, more grateful, and more resilient. Here's how to practice negative visualization effectively. Start small. Spend 5 minutes each morning imagining the temporary loss of something you value. Maybe it's your smartphone, your car, or your favorite coffee shop. Imagine how you would adapt and what you would learn from the experience. Progress to more significant scenarios. Imagine temporary setbacks in your career, health challenges, or relationship difficulties. Don't dwell on these scenarios or try to predict the future. Simply practice your mental response to hypothetical challenges. Focus on your response, not the scenario itself. The goal isn't to become pessimistic about the future. It's to develop confidence in your ability to handle whatever the future might bring. End each session with gratitude. After imagining potential losses, spend time appreciating what you currently have. This creates a powerful emotional contrast that deepens your gratitude and contentment. I know this might feel uncomfortable at first. Our culture teaches us to avoid thinking about negative possibilities. But the Stoics understood that avoiding these thoughts doesn't make us stronger. It makes us more vulnerable when challenges inevitably arise. Consider this. Most people are devastated by unexpected setbacks because they've never mentally prepared for them. They've spent all their time hoping for the best, without preparing for other possibilities. When reality doesn't match their expectations, they're emotionally crushed. The person who practices negative visualization, however, is never caught completely off guard. They've already considered various scenarios and developed mental strategies for handling them. They're like a well-trained athlete who's prepared for any play the opposing team might run. Negative visualization also builds what psychologists call emotional immunity. Just as exposure to small amounts of a virus can build physical immunity, exposure to imagined difficulties builds emotional resilience. An unbreakable positive mental attitude isn't built overnight. It's constructed through consistent daily practices that gradually strengthen your mental resilience. The Stoics understood that philosophy wasn't just an intellectual exercise. It was a way of life that required daily cultivation. Marcus Aurelius didn't become mentally unshakable by reading about Stoicism once. He practiced Stoic principles every single day, often writing in his journal to reinforce these concepts. His meditations are essentially his personal training notes for developing mental strength. Let me share the 5 daily habits that will transform your mental attitude. Habit 1. Morning reflection. Start each day by setting your mental framework. Spend 5 minutes reminding yourself of what you can and cannot control. Prepare mentally for potential challenges and commit to responding with wisdom rather than reactivity. Marcus Aurelius would tell himself each morning, "Today I will meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness," but he prepared to respond with virtue regardless. Habit 2. Evening review. End each day by examining your thoughts, reactions, and decisions. Ask yourself, where did I respond wisely today? Where could I have responded better? What did I learn? This isn't about self-criticism. It's about continuous improvement. Seneca wrote, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine the whole day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing for myself, passing nothing by." Habit 3. Perspective practice throughout the day. Regularly zoom out and gain perspective on your current challenges. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? How would Marcus Aurelius handle this situation? What would I advise a good friend facing this same challenge? This practice prevents small problems from becoming major mental disturbances. Habit 4. Gratitude cultivation. Actively appreciate what you have rather than focusing on what you lack. But make this more than just listing things you're grateful for. Practice what I call deep gratitude, really feeling appreciation for the people, experiences, and opportunities in your life. Remember, everything you have is temporary and precious. Habit 5. Character development. Identify one virtue you want to strengthen: courage, patience, justice, wisdom, and look for opportunities to practice it throughout the day. The Stoics believed that the only true good was virtue, and that external circumstances were simply opportunities to practice virtue. The key to making these habits stick is to start small and be consistent. Don't try to implement all 5 habits perfectly from day one. Choose one habit and practice it for a week before adding another. Remember, you're not just building habits, you're rewiring your brain. Neuroscience confirms what the Stoics intuited. Regular mental practices literally change the structure and function of your brain. Each time you choose a wise response over a reactive one, you're strengthening neural pathways that make future wise responses more automatic. think of these daily practices as deposits in your mental resilience bank account. Each day you practice, you're building reserves of wisdom and strength that you can draw upon when life gets challenging. The compound effect of these daily habits is extraordinary. After a month, you'll notice increased emotional stability. After 3 months, you'll find yourself naturally responding to challenges with greater wisdom. After a year, you'll have developed the kind of unbreakable mental attitude that the ancient Stoics possessed. The true test of an unbreakable positive mental attitude comes not during calm periods, but during storms. How do you maintain Stoic perspective when facing genuine crisis, serious illness, financial ruin, loss of loved ones, or other major life upheavals? This is where the depth and power of Stoic philosophy truly shines. The principles we've discussed aren't just feel-good concepts for easy times. They're battle-tested strategies for life's most difficult moments. Marcus Aurelius faced plague, war, betrayal by trusted friends, and the death of multiple children. Yet his writings during these periods reveal a man who maintained remarkable mental equilibrium. How did he do it? First, he practiced what I call cosmic perspective. When overwhelmed by immediate circumstances, he would zoom out and consider his situation in the context of the vastness of time and space. He wrote, "Remember how brief life is, how vast the universe. What is happening now has happened before and will happen again. This isn't about minimizing your pain or pretending your problems don't matter. It's about preventing temporary circumstances from overwhelming your entire mental landscape." Second, he focused on what he called the discipline of action. Even in crisis, there are always some actions you can take, however small. Instead of being paralyzed by the magnitude of the challenge, focus on the next right step. As the saying goes, you can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. Epictetus, drawing from his experience as a slave, taught that our freedom lies not in our external circumstances, but in our internal responses. He said, "No one can hurt you without your permission." This doesn't mean that external events can't cause pain. It means that you have the power to choose how that pain affects your character and your future. During crisis, practice what I call the 3 questions. What aspects of this situation can I control? What can this experience teach me? How can I use this challenge to become stronger? These questions redirect your mental energy from helpless rumination to empowered action. Seneca, who faced exile and the constant threat of execution under Emperor Nero, developed what he called the reserve clause. He would make plans and set goals while mentally adding fate permitting to each intention. This prevented him from being devastated when external circumstances disrupted his plans. Here's a crucial insight. Maintaining perspective during crisis doesn't mean suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. The Stoics acknowledge that initial emotional reactions are natural and often unavoidable. What matters is not allowing those initial reactions to control your ongoing mental state. Feel the fear, acknowledge the sadness, experience the anger. Then choose your response based on wisdom rather than emotion. This is what Epictetus meant when he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Remember that every crisis is temporary. This too shall pass. The Stoics understood that change is the only constant in life. Just as good times don't last forever, neither do difficult times. Finally, use crisis as an opportunity to practice the highest levels of Stoic virtue. Courage in the face of danger, justice even when you've been wronged, temperance when emotions run high, and wisdom when the path forward is unclear. When you emerge from crisis, having maintained your character and perspective, you'll have proven to yourself that you truly possess an unbreakable mental attitude. We've covered a lot of ground today, and I want you to understand something crucial. Everything we've discussed isn't just ancient philosophy. It's a practical blueprint for developing the kind of mental resilience that can transform your entire life experience. Let's quickly recap the key principles that will build your unbreakable positive mental attitude. First, understand that true positive thinking isn't about denial or forced optimism. It's about aligning your mental state with wisdom and focusing on what you can control. Second, master the dichotomy of control by consistently distinguishing between what you can and cannot influence. Then investing your mental energy only in the controllable. Third, reframe every obstacle as an opportunity for growth and character development. Remember Marcus Aurelius, what stands in the way becomes the way. Fourth, practice negative visualization to build emotional resilience and deepen your appreciation for what you currently have. Fifth, implement daily mental habits that gradually strengthen your philosophical foundation and mental resilience. Sixth, maintain cosmic perspective during crisis by focusing on what you can control, what you can learn, and how you can grow stronger. But here's what I want you to understand most deeply. Developing an unbreakable positive mental attitude isn't about becoming emotionless or invulnerable. It's about becoming so grounded in wisdom and virtue that external circumstances cannot shake your fundamental sense of peace and purpose. The Stoics weren't superhuman. They were ordinary people who developed extraordinary mental skills through consistent practice. Marcus Aurelius struggled with anger. Seneca battled with desire for wealth and status. Epictetus dealt with physical limitations and past trauma. What made them remarkable wasn't the absence of challenges, but their response to those challenges. You have the same capacity for wisdom and resilience that they possessed. The only difference is practice. Every time you choose perspective over panic, wisdom over reactivity, and virtue over convenience, you're building the unbreakable mental attitude that will serve you for the rest of your life. This journey isn't always easy, but it's always worthwhile. As you implement these principles, you'll notice that life's inevitable ups and downs affect you less dramatically. You'll find yourself more present, more grateful, and more confident in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all suffering from your life. That's impossible and would actually weaken you. The goal is to develop the mental tools to navigate any circumstance with grace, wisdom, and inner peace. Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, share the biggest mental challenge you're currently facing. Don't worry about being vulnerable. This community is here to support each other on this journey toward mental resilience. Your challenge might be exactly what someone else needs to hear about today. If this video has provided value to you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who could benefit from these insights. Remember, every share helps us reach more people who desperately need these life-changing principles. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. We're building a community of people committed to developing unbreakable mental strength, and your participation makes this community stronger. Finally, check the first comment pinned below and the description for exclusive resources that will accelerate your Stoic journey. These tools are specifically designed to help you implement everything we've discussed today. Until next time, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Stay strong, stay wise, and keep building that unbreakable mind.